Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome in and happy Thursday. Is it Thursday? It is Thursday. What a week. What a week. Good to be with you tonight. I hope that you're all doing really, really well. How are you? Welcome in and welcome to the March edition of the February Essay Showcase. Because it's been a couple weeks. Y'all had a lot of essays. And also, there's been a lot of life happening, so we're just glad to be here. So tonight, we are going to be doing our essay showcase. We're really excited to be sharing this stuff with you tonight. It's going to be a great time. Hey, I am doing well. Thank you for just the well wishes on Tuesday, by the way. I needed the night off. It was a day where work kind of went sideways. And some days you just need to play Pokemon Pokopia, which I have such a need to play that game like at all times. It's messing up my sleep schedule. How many of you are playing Pokopia? Catterfree, I see that you are. That's good. If you're not playing Pokopia, what are you even doing with your life? Game of the year so far. I know Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out later this year, but it's got to do a lot to beat Pokopia for me. This feels like, brother. Okay, let's talk about the fit. Actually, let's talk about the fit. Actually, before we get into talking about the fit, let's talk about our special guest tonight. It's not really a special guest; he's a regular guest. But we are bringing on our buddy Evan. Welcome in, Evan.
I feel special.
You are so special. Oh, we've got
happy.
Let me turn off the essays real fast. You feel happy? Okay, Evan, big question. Big freaking question. Are you picking up Pokemon Pokopia? Big G Rocks is playing Pokopia. Go for it. What?
I love it. When I get a Switch 2, I will also get Pokopia.
When you get a Switch 2, you will also get Pokopia. Well, listen, here's what I'm going to say. You are going to lose your mind over Pokemon Pokopia. I don't play Pokemon games. You know the only Pokemon game that I have played?
Let's see. Pokemon Snap.
Okay, well, I did work at a daycare in high school, and they played Pokemon Snap, so yeah, okay, technicality.
Pokemon Stadium.
Okay, they also played that, but I didn't play that one. Okay, so I've played a few Pokemon games.
Just tell me.
Okay, so I started out, he's too quiet. Okay, I've tried to remedy his thing. Evan is really quiet? Okay, I can fix that. I know how to fix that. Evan has never been like that, ever in the history.
Usually Evie's problem.
Okay, let's try that. Okay, I think Evan's better now. Let's try it now.
Well, this is a test
This
of
is
my
a
volume.
first.
And this is a test of my volume when I get excited. But this is a test of my volume when things are a little more thoughtful and
There he is.
contemplative.
That should be better. Chat, let us know in the comments. I know you will. Y'all are good like
Yes,
that.
please do. Well, what you missed when I was quiet was
He was
I'm gonna
guessing.
when I get a
all-
Switch 2 with Pokemon. Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't see Wade, so I don't have nonverbal cues for when it's my turn.
Okay, everybody says it's much better. Everybody says it's all good now.
Thank
so
you.
there
Well,
it
thank you.
is.
Thank you.
So
Great to see
yeah,
you.
so anyway, he was guessing all the Pokemon games that I played, and he guessed correctly Snap and Coliseum, even though I forgot, or Stadium, whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay, the only Pokemon game that I really played was Pokemon Blue, because my little brother had Red, and then
This Pokemon Blue?
shut up, Evan. What? Look at that relic of the past in Duracell, because it's got that clear
I know.
Clear Game Boy. Oh my gosh.
So
shut
I
up.
like to keep books on my coffee table for when people come over or I have meetings. and
Yeah.
this is one of my books as a conversation piece that I put on the table. Is my
I have an
brother's old-
NES, an SNES, and Sega Genesis Classic in my office for the same reason. And if a student ever wants to come and talk, I'm like, why don't we boot up Mario or something?
Can you hear it? Can you
Wait,
hear
wait,
it?
wait. Let me turn off Sing 40 Laughter. Hang on. No, I can't.
Let me turn off my noise gate. Hold on. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this.
There it is.
I can do this. I can do this.
That's it. That's Pokemon.
There it is. All right.
That's it. Oh man, that's so good. So yeah, so I played a little bit of Pokemon Blue, and then I really got into Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Good one.
But I've never played another Pokemon.
Well, there's never been a Pokemon game like Pokopia.
Pokopia is like if Animal Crossing evolved.
Met Minecraft, met Roblox, met Pokemon.
Yeah, which I've never played Minecraft or Roblox, but as did everyone who endured COVID, I played all the Animal Crossing.
Yeah, you did.
And I just want to watch a Tiger King documentary now and just relive my glory days of the pandemic. Did you know that today is the 6-year anniversary of the 2 weeks of spring break? When the universities told us we're going to go on a 2-week spring break because of this COVID thing.
Just a quick in and out because of this COVID thing. Just a quick in and out.
And then it lasted a year.
Yeah, a year plus. I talked to a client today who was down for the count with COVID.
Oh my God.
Earlier this week. I was like, how you doing? They're like, well, I had COVID.
Well, got to celebrate the anniversary somehow. Sometimes we're playing Animal Crossing, and sometimes we're bedridden with COVID. Wrong answer. Pokopia is Dragon Quest Builders, but in Pokemon, funny story, never played Dragon Quest Builders because I thought that's a baby game for baby people, and I am no baby. But then I got Pokopia, and I was like, okay, I'm a baby gamer, and I'm fine with that. It's so good. It's so good.
I'm hearing great things. Everybody that has it loves it and is totally obsessed with it, and that's usually a good sign. And that's Nintendo's superpower.
That is their superpower.
They can transcend
I got
bone and marrow.
I got 2 of my 3 closest gamer friends to pick up Switch 2s and Pokopia. And the third one is just a holdout. He bought a Switch 2, but you know what that dummy did?
What did that dummy do?
He bought Pokemon Leaf Green.
He's like, this doesn't feel like I'm playing this.
He was like,
game.
that sounds fun. Let's play Pokopia. And then he downloaded Leaf Green. And then, get this, he came over to my house. And we've all got our little Switch 2s building our islands. And we're like, where are you? And he looks at us. He's like, I'm playing Pokemon. And we're like, no, you're not. And he was like, I'm playing my Pokemon. I was like, why did you buy a Switch 2 to sit in my house and not play with us?
People be like that.
I was so mad at him. Mad at him until literally earlier today. Like, I was vengeful.
I want to do my special thing off in the corner, but I want to be here.
I told him I'm going to find a better 4th friend.
Oh my. Yeah, there you go. You're about to get replaced.
You're going to get FOMO.
You're about to get replaced.
And so we're in this group chat, and the entire time we're just posting pictures of our island. And also there's a cloud island on Pokopia that you and 3 friends can be on. And and so we're all decorating and building things, and we're like, oh, isn't this enticing? We need a 4th. And he's like, oh, Snorlax is asleep on road number 7 or whatever it is.
I need a flute.
It makes me so mad.
Oh, well, hey.
Do y'all have friends like this in the chat? Like antagonistic friends?
Yes. I'm not going to play this game because I missed it by a window, or I'm going to do this. Or this is what happens.
It was launch day.
This is what happens to us, is that we'll have a game that comes out and people are like, I don't know how long people are going to stick with this one. I bought the last couple that everybody played.
That's
and then
so
we play
true.
it, and then it's the one that sticks, and then they're 7 weeks in. It's too late to start now, because now we are actually probably going to move on to another game.
That's
but
true.
You missed the window. It was a $40 game. You spend $40 to hang out with your friends. Spend your money however you want.
Brother, do you remember
but don't
when...
complain to me about it.
Chat, this was a classic example, and actually you're kind of a culprit of this. Do you remember when all of our friends got onto the Final Fantasy 14 bandwagon, and I'm like 12 years in? Yeah. And you're over there mining something, like fighting little like weebs or something like that. And I'm like, I stroll on in with my legendary armor. I'm like, do you need help with the rats?
Okay.
But then you and the dear friends that I so love, I'm a lore buff, and y'all are like, what lore? Like, you're like, we're building houses. Y'all were playing Pokopia, Animal Crossing, and Final Fantasy 14. And I was like, but the story. And you're like, there's a story? We skipped that.
The story was so good, they had to rewrite it twice. And reboot the whole thing. I would love to defend myself.
Please, take the floor.
Final
Fantasy
Fantasy 14 is a fantastic achievement in creating a world and a way for people to engage with things like this that they love that can go for a long, long time. Yeah. It's a great place to plug in. People make friends. There's community. It's an ever-going live service game. It's great, right? It is a great MMO, but it is still an MMO, right?
It's still an MMO.
So here's where I ran into problems. I said, oh, Dawn Trail is coming out. Wade's like, we could play Dawn Trail together. This'll be great. Like,
big plans.
No big deal. We'll play Dawn Trail. I'm like, okay, maybe we'll do some content, whatever. MMOs aren't my thing, but I can engage with it. And, if we're going to do stuff with it and we're going to have fun, that's great, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get to play Dawn Trail right away.
Play together. Now you can drink a little potion, but you get shamed.
What happened to me was I get into the game and they're like, okay, great. All you have to do is this main storyline, and then we're gonna be able to play together. And I said, great, main storyline, no big deal.
That's what they say.
But the goalpost kept moving.
Yeah.
So it's like, just get to this part, then we can do dungeons together. And so I'm 15 hours in, and then we try to do the dungeon, and they're like, oh, we can't do it because you don't have it unlocked.
You don't have this one.
We can do this one dungeon that everyone hates and will resent you for if we do this same dungeon over and over again. But, like, you can't do that.
True.
And so I'm like, okay, great,
so
no
true.
problem. I'm a working person with a family, and, like, no big deal. So then I go do the next 15 to 20 hours of chores. Yeah. Chores. And
they were chores.
Completely by myself. And no, it's even worse. I'm listening to them having fun in other places.
That's true.
In the
we
game.
were all on Discord and we were like, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, I'm over here mining like one of the dwarves.
I don't have a thing that can fly. And Wade and my friends were so nice. They showed up in their fancy cars.
In our cars, in my regalia.
And you would fly me around to do my chores. And it was great. But then it was like, okay, just get to this next section, then it opens up. And then I'm 60 hours into this game.
You were.
60 hours into this game. I finally finished the main storyline. We do all this stuff, and they say, now we're going to be able to all play together. And we try and do one raid, and it goes,
It did. It locked you out. And I was like, well, I don't even know. We wanted to do the Binding Coil of Bahamut, and that one is
just
gated.
Shoot me into the sun as far as my preferences for being able to play with friends. So I tried. I think. Let me check my hours. Like, let me see how many hours.
Your hours were substantial, but every time I saw you, you were running in circles collecting ingredients.
That's what they make you do.
I have a core memory of you in Gridania, or in the it looked like the Shire world for you, and just running in a circle, like fighting the same little critter.
It was. And I spent so much time in New Gridania that you remember I came up with a song about it.
Oh God, yeah.
Almost heaven, New Gridania. And then I would just do my little chores and sing about it. So that
you did. And we would hear that. 51 hours. Okay, that's substantial.
That's a fair enough amount of time for me to say might not be the right fit.
You gave it the good old college try. You're not like those people that put 10 minutes into High Guard and said this game sucks. You gave it 51 hours.
And money.
You did.
That I never used.
You did. Hey, I do have a confession here in front of God, you, and the chat. I never finished Dawn Trail.
Yet.
I mean, it's yet, but I'd never finished it, and that's a blind spot for me, so I got to get to it.
Yeah.
I'll finish it likely
15 more hours.
50, yeah, truly. It's gated for me. So
You'll finish
anyway,
it. I'm sorry.
well, everybody, we're not here for Pocopia, even though you've got to play that game. And it's so good. Like, you will love it. Especially your family members are going to love that. Big time. That's the game that we need to do a conversation about cozy gaming on and the psychology of cozy gaming.
Working on it. We got planning docs for a cozy gaming series, everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, Catafree Dawn Trail is good. Life just happened. I don't have a complaint with Dawn Trail's story. I just got to a point where I was like, that was fun. The primary drama is done, and now I'm going to move on.
If all video gamers had the functional phrase, "This is good, it just might not be for me," and could employ that in chats, forums, Twitters.
I mean, that's good.
BlueSky.
The problem is,
if we could have that language, this is good for somebody else, but it might not just be for me.
the problem
That might
is
be
I
better
got
for the
through.
industry.
I got through 50% of the Dawn Trail story, and the rising action kind of plateaued, and it was like, oh, that person that I thought was my enemy, we're kind of chill now. Like, we're not on good terms, but we're good. And like, I never got to the next quest with some more rising action. And so then I turned it off, and then I don't remember the game that took me away, but that was it. So
That's how it works.
anyway, I look forward to going back, and it's still a game for me, and I give them my monthly donation, like my tithe to church. It's like I give Final Fantasy XIV a portion of my salary, and then I go on with my life and don't attend, much like church for a lot of people.
I get emails about how they're going to tear down my house.
Me too. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't personally know who in our friend group is going into our house once every 90 days to keep that place alive. But someone is. It's not me. Oh my God. Do you have some guesses?
I have some guesses.
Who is this psycho? Because I need to thank them because like they're keeping me housed.
I'll do some investigating.
Please do.
We'll
And you can.
who our real estate mogul is.
You can share with me offline. That's amazing. Let's get this place humid. Okay. Sorry, that's from the chat, and it's from Bulbasaur. If you played Pocopia, you would know. Okay.
I saw the meme.
Great. I love that.
I'm participating.
You're relevant. So today, everybody, we are going to go through our essays for the month of February here in the middle of March.
They were written in February.
They were written in February, and y'all were robust. You were robust. So we're gonna go through them. We are not gonna read all of them verbatim. We're gonna read some quotes and just mildly discuss some of the things. But this time, and this is my promise, Evan, you and God are my witness, we're gonna put them on the website for people to read. Okay?
Everyone, it will get on the website. Okay?
Yes.
I will do my role in the email tag. I will co-host and produce to make sure that things get on the website with the help of the RAs.
Yeah, seriously. So tonight we got some great essays. Let's get into it. Let's begin with one from our friend in the chat, Fastest, the one. Let me pull this up real quick.
The one.
And actually, before we even really get into that, I guess we should remind everybody of what the essay topic is tonight. Good question, Fastest, the one. The essays for the first essay showcase will also go up. Next week, I have a little bit of a break because of spring break, so I am going to be able to work.
It's gonna be fine, everybody. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Okay, so the essay for this month, the prompt was as follows. It is what, and you can see this right over here. Let's try to Get this place humid. Let's watch this. Okay. It says, what the party's friendships reveal about them and about us. We asked you to become an armchair psychologist and analyze why relationships matter in Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth and why certain pairings resonate with you. It's not about which relationship is best, but it's about why certain connections unlock meaning, identity, and emotion. And you guys, y'all crushed it. So let's get into some good essays right here and just see what we got, okay?
Yep. You want to talk about our lens, what we're going to kind of do, or you want to just do it naturally as we go?
Give the people the lens. They want to know.
Everyone, imagine, if you will, a world with a new lens to look at relationships in your favorite video game franchises. The stories you see, the characters that speak to you, the moments that jump out off of the screen and into your hearts and lives. And imagine if 18 brilliant, wonderful people wrote essays about a specific game franchise that then you could look and evaluate the way that other people might think. What we have here tonight is an incredible opportunity, should you choose to accept it, to look into the eyes of another through their writing. Writing and reading is the ultimate act of human empathy. It is submission to their expressed opinion without interruption, and we are going to be able to gaze in to the inner workings and thoughts. And when we're there, we're going to be respectful. We're going to be curious, and we're going to use it as an opportunity to understand how other people in our lives, whether they're in the chat, whether they wrote an essay, or whether it's our friends and family, might also agree with this lens. And we're going to look to see the real people in our lives through the vulnerable thoughts of others.
That's beautiful. That was beautiful, Evan. Like, what a great way of saying it. By reading through some of these essays, we're gaining a lens into the experiences of others through these games and why relationships resonate with them and what it tells us about ourselves as well. So it's a growth moment, an opportunity for growth and change.
Yes. Okay, so that being said, where do we start?
We're starting with this essay from Fastest the One. If you've been just watching the screen, you probably have read it because it's been on the screen for a while over on the stream. But this one comes from Fastest the One, regular in the chat. Thank you so much for submitting. This one talks about their love for Aerith and Tifa. Evan, what would you like to say about this particular essay?
So this essay is really thoughtfully written and gives some great evidence for the support between the claims that they make at the beginning that they were doing some evaluating of the nature of the relationship between Aerith and Tifa. And it opens talking about, were they rivals? Are they friends?
Yeah.
What the nature of their relationship. So a lot of the thoughts and the evidence that's explored through the game focuses around that idea of friendship, rivals, and they say pretty much at the beginning, honestly, it has, in doing this, it has reframed my view of them more as friends than necessarily rivals. And I think that it's important to tie in something at the end here because they talk about their lens specifically. There's a quote at the end that says, despite the initial fear that the original Final Fantasy VII fell into this pitfall, I'm glad that the remake series went out of their way to show a genuine friendship between Aerith and Tifa.
Yeah.
As a woman myself, I'm happy to see a close relationship between these two wonderful characters and hope that they may serve as an inspiration for many more friendships like this. I think that understanding that's what it's about, and then that's the conclusion at the end. Let's talk about the middle, but really special work, and thank you so much for submitting it, Fastest.
I love that you pulled out that quote particularly because that's a perspective that you and I cannot have, right?
Correct.
We cannot engage these two women as women, right? And so playing through the original game recently through the Shinra Arc cut, and that interview just went up this past Monday if you haven't caught that yet, there is a pseudo rivalry in the original game, maybe because of localization or translation, but they completely remedy that in Remake and Rebirth, and I'm so glad that you pointed this out for us, Fastest. I love it, and also just great for a woman to speak of their experience in all of this too. So thank you so much. on that. This is a really terrific essay, really going into the way that these two are there for one another throughout the whole game. And it's the subtle things, one part of comforting by just like putting a hand on the cheek and stuff, just physical touch, presence, being there. And it really made me think about their relationships. Also, really good stuff with some good sourcing here too. So well done, Fastest. Again, you'll be able to read these in their entirety later. So we aren't going to read them all on them in their entirety on stream. So
someday on the website.
So someday on the website next week.
Yeah. Well, I know that we have a schedule to stick to, a lot of essays. So you tell me when it's
Let's mosey.
Time. Okay,
Thank you,
great.
Fastest. Next up.
Oh, let me say one thing about this one, and then
yeah.
There's a phrase in the middle. It made me want to go back to the beginning with this new knowledge to properly see them as friends instead of rivals. There's a mechanism there of renegotiating the narrative and really being honest and questioning if your first impression is the right impression, or if you're different now, what it looks like to reapproach relationships and narratives that we tell ourselves. Because I think what it made me think of is, what stories have I written in my mind that now that I've grown as a person, when I go back and look at it, maybe I need to renegotiate, like you talk about a lot in class with these kinds of games. So that was the active part that I thought was really special, and it takes just a special mindset to be able to have that kind of humility to say, I kind of got to go back and think through this again, and I thought that was really special.
Yeah, no, it's really, really cool to see. All right, thank you, Fastest.
Ready.
Let's keep moving. Okay, so our next essay, I actually think of this as 3 separate essays.
Yeah.
This was to use Final Fantasy terms, a behemoth essay. Not only in content, but sheer size. So I really think, and kudos to you, because you tried to get in on a technicality. You wrote 3 essays that reached the word limit.
That's considered angle shooting, which is not technically illegal in gaming terms.
I do not. So if you were in my class, I'd probably have to grade you down for not following the instructions to my T, but you did find a way to your T, and so I appreciate that about you. You can read this one in its entirety, but this person, who wrote this one? Do we have the author of this one?
So everybody, just so you know, sometimes people submit their essay with a username, and sometimes it's a real name. And in order to not share anybody's information that we don't know, we try really hard to make sure that nobody's name is in these. So there's a little bit of work that we go in there. So I don't have a username on this one. I can look it up if you want to chat about it, or you can look it up while I...
Yeah, I can talk about it briefly if you want to look it up really quick. But
let me just make sure we have
this
right.
essay really focuses on a trilogy or a trinity of characters: Cloud and Sephiroth, Aerith and Cloud, and then Aerith and Sephiroth. And I understand why they went in this way, because it is a huge scope. But this is a series of essays that really makes a really strong mini-series. It is incredibly deep and goes into some really cool character motivations and traits. It has a lot of points, and it's really, really well stated. One of the things that I love is this line right here: Sephiroth is born as a myth before he is born as a man. He emerges not into childhood, but into legend, sculpted by expectation, engineered by forces older and colder than love. What a banger poetic line. I
love the writing style.
The writing style is great, right?
I enjoyed the writing style, creative approach to the topic, which was great. And then I love the way that it went into a lot of character motivations and trait. Like, it was very focused on like the sentiment behind the character. Like, what are they really getting to, which was great. And I have an answer on username.
Yes, please.
So I'm just gonna say Dream is the username. So I don't want to give more than that.
Too much,
I don't know for sure, but so Dream is a part of whatever their username is.
Okay.
So we're gonna say this one's from Dream. Dream, you know who you are, and we're grateful for the submission. But in order to make sure we didn't ask your permission to share your username or your email or your real name, so we're not going to do that.
We're working those kinks out.
You know who you are, and we're proud of you.
Yes, we are. What else did you take from this essay, Evan? Like, that was one of the cool lines from Cloud and Sephiroth.
Yeah, I think this destiny and how we become who we are was very interesting, especially with this writing style. And then how, like, not explicitly family of origin, but the experiences and relationships we have and other factors contribute to our character as a person, and then how that character then interacts with others was special to me, because it's this deep understanding of why we make the decisions that we do, why the characters made the decisions that they did, and then what happens when those two worlds collide.
That collision of worlds is, it's kind of a meta narrative for the game itself, but
it is
a collision course between these two kind of disparate extremes. I love how this essay builds upon itself. And again, it is so dense, and I can't wait for y'all to read it on the website. But because it begins with the Cloud and Sephiroth dynamic, moves into the Aerith and Cloud dynamic, it builds to a culmination when there is this climactic, juxtaposition of Aerith and Sephiroth. And so the Aerith and Sephiroth with Cloud and the balance is a thing that we talk about in our playthroughs all the times. But I like this because he says, again, similar to what I said before, both are children, Aerith and Sephiroth, both are children of forces older than themselves. Both are born touched by the live stream, shaped by knowledge not entirely their own, and burdened by inheritance that strips away the possibility of ordinary life. And so here, like, in earliest renditions of Final Fantasy VII, I don't know if you knew this, Evan, but Aerith and Sephiroth were meant to be siblings. That
makes sense.
It does, right? And so they're meant to be siblings and somewhat rivals. Now, that's certainly evolved into so much more. One of the subtle cues are the bangs that they have. They have spiky bangs in the front of their head.
Their hair, that makes sense.
Goes like that. So from a design standpoint, that's one piece. But then you look at a number of other things as well. I think that is wild to think about. Cloud and Sephiroth represent trauma and rebellion, and Cloud and Aerith embody tenderness and acceptance, but Aerith and Sephiroth form a confrontation between stewardship and domination. This is, again, it's way more than 700 words, and so that's all the time that we're going to be able to give to it, but it's a worthy read. All of these are worthy reads.
It'll be on the website.
It'll be on the website. So
thank you for your submission. And
thank you so much, Dream / real name.
I would love to read you writing how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because I think it would be quite dramatic and poetic. In the way
needs to be 2,100 words, though.
I'm curious about how it manifests itself in a technical writing environment.
The relationship between peanut butter and jelly. And then jelly and bread and peanut butter and bread. And then you put them all together.
No, it's great.
No,
it's so in the tone of the story too,
it is.
which is great. It just
it's
more philosophical than academic, I would say, in the approach.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's just such a breath of fresh air. It's so nice.
It is. It ends with just this line, that's where I'll leave it. And in the quiet echo between those two voices, Final Fantasy VII reveals its deepest meditation on humanity, that the greatest power is not the ability to escape the cycle of life, but the courage to protect it, even when doing so requires accepting one's place within it. Good stuff. Okay, let's continue going. This one is from our very own Smithianum. Smith, with one of the... I have never heard anyone analyze this relationship.
I've never even thought about it.
I haven't either. Smith brings up Cloud and Dio.
I loved it.
How cool was this essay? I thought it was really unique, just because I'd never heard of these pairings, or this pairing. What'd you take from this, Dio and Cloud?
For me, the contrasting that was done between Dio and Sephiroth in what they evoke from their interactions with Cloud, I thought was a very creative lens. It made me think about this, and I'm curious about your thoughts, that the competition mindset and intent in the relationships can facilitate growth. They're not inherently bad, but then talking about the way that Dio pushes Cloud and how they interact compared to Sephiroth pushing Cloud and how they interact, I thought was really, really interesting. And then it goes into some validation, but when we look at Dio as a character and you think about his relationship with Cloud, what does that make you think of?
I will be honest, like I don't, when I thought about this relationship, I didn't go to the places that Smith goes, right?
Which is why this is so fun.
That's why it's so interesting to me. I want to just read one quick line here. Let me make sure it's on the screen here. Cloud, like many other young men from his town, wanted to join Soldier and become a hero like Sephiroth. Not only did that not happen, he was betrayed by his hero in the worst way possible. That unmet desire for validation, however, combined with his mental confusion, continued to make him vulnerable to manipulation. Yet in his encounters with unabashedly genuine people like Zack in Crisis Core, Andrea in Remake, and then Dio in Rebirth, we see Cloud being accepted as he is without reservation or judgment. Similarly to how Zack and Andrea saw something in Cloud and encouraged him to embrace it, Dio sees Cloud's capacity for strength and resolve to, quote, rise and meet a challenge and draws it out of him, even as Sephiroth appears to taunt him to have your fun while you're still time. That's such a cool dichotomy there. And I thought that was insane. I'd never really picked up on that.
Well, I thought it was really creative to take a lateral approach to Cloud interfacing with different environments. It's like we have 7 Cloud test tubes, and we're dropping the characters in and seeing what color it makes, right? It is, what is it about these characters that evokes a different response from our protagonist? Because Cloud is the perspective that we play the most. So it's like there's a bunch of rooms, and he'd just go into each one and then kind of figure it out. And so that lateral analysis, I think, speaks a lot to an understanding of the individual personalities of the character, but then to the dynamism of Cloud himself.
Yeah, at 100%, right? So here's, oh man, I gotta just show you this, right?
Don't take my quote at the end. Read the quote at the end if that's what you're gonna do.
Oh, read the quote at the end. Go for it.
No, we'll let it hang on that. You do. I just was worried you were gonna jump it.
No, I was pulling up something else because I wanted to show this. Okay, so here's the thing. That final quote, through his genuineness, Dio gives a validation he never got from Soldier and Sephiroth. And in that moment, the boy from Nibelheim who wants someone to notice him peeks out for the party to see. Banger line. And the entire time that I'm reading this, I am imagining that one picture of Cloud and Dio with his hands up and just smiling, right?
Completely made me rethink the scene.
Totally, because it's like, that's such a lighthearted thing. And so chat, this is one of the things that we talk about with Rebirth. As the part 2 of the trilogy, we know it's going to go to really bad places in part 3, like really, really painful places. But you get to see Cloud having genuine mirth and joy. How he's getting that validation from Dio. He's raising his arms triumphantly. That smile is a legit smile, and I think that's so stinking cool. And like, he gets to relish in that, and then Sephiroth takes it all away. I think that is why it's like, enjoy these mini games. Sephiroth even saying in the corner, have your fun while it lasts. But I mean, anyway, you can Google the picture, Cloud and Dio. I don't want to mess up the tenuous thing that we've got going on right here. So
got it.
Okay, thank you, Smith, for that. I love it.
Thank you, Smith.
Okay.
Rest well. I know that it's getting late.
It's getting late
Smith
o'clock.
Said, thank you for reviewing this one before I pass out. So hang in there.
Kudos.
You're a hardworking man.
Next, we go over to Miss Moon talking about Cloud and Sephiroth, identically diurent. Did I pronounce that right? I don't know.
I'm glad you said it, not me, because I wasn't sure where the pronunciation would lie on that.
Okay, so there's some great points in here. Evan, why don't you take us away?
I think the opening I think some of the opening lines here at the early side. Let me make sure this is actually the opening or where it is. I'm going to read. Okay, the line at the end, I think, frames this essay well for itself. So I'm going to say this is an essay about Cloud and Sephiroth that kind of anchors around 3 main points. But I'll just read this per se, and it's the last line if you want to put it on the screen. It starts with protagonist, antagonist.
Got it, yeah.
It says this: protagonist/antagonist relationships are not always just to define who's morally right or wrong. They're often a reflection of each other.
Banger.
A revelation of character and who we choose to become because of those interactions. And these 2 characters do an excellent job exemplifying that.
Banger.
I have another quote that we can comment on too. It says, lastly, well-intentioned loved ones can perceive us in a certain way or may do things thinking they're being helpful and doing it out of love, but they may be hindering you. Then it gives an example from Tifa, but there's a nuance to the complication that comes with relationships. And in story, they try and write things to be so monolithic to get the point across, because if it's too subtle, then people miss it, right? That's a really challenging tension. But that's where video games have a power to tell a story in a different way because of player agency. So highlighting this complicated path, that there's people that can hold you back at times, and then there's people that may not. And these things don't stay the way forever. Something that has served you well in the past, whether it's a relationship or an attitude or a habit, isn't necessarily the best thing to serve us going forward. It doesn't mean that we cut it out of our life necessarily, but to use your language, sometimes we are required to renegotiate the role that certain things have. And I thought this essay did a great job exemplifying that and talking around some of the things that you like. What did it make you think of?
One of the things that as I was reading this, it made me think of, what does it mean for Cloud to defy destiny, right? And so for all of his life, Cloud, even at the water tower, told Tifa, I want to be a great soldier like Sephiroth. And then he pursues that, and he's blocked out this critical moment in his life when Sephiroth was kind of, a disappointment to him. He's blocked out some key sequences with that. And there's still an admiration of Sephiroth. I need to be as strong as Sephiroth in order to overcome Sephiroth. But still, the constant in that is Sephiroth. And so for part 3, for Cloud to defy destiny, he has to defy the archetype to which he has held himself.
Oh.
Right? And so that's the renegotiation. No longer am I chasing Sephiroth, but I'm actually creating a brand new thing. I think that is really compelling, because it's kind of like I liken it to someone who says they've got a difficult relationship with their dad. And as they're growing up, what do they say? I'm never going to be like him. I'm never going to be like my dad, or I'm never going to do things like that. And freedom comes not when they end up different from their dad, but when they have so far extricated themselves from that equation that that's not the measuring rod any longer. Okay? And so when we're talking about changing the way that we're dealing with things, that is a defiance of destiny. I think that's really interesting to me.
And that we have the agency to do it. Not all of it, right? There's so many things that happen outside of our circumstances, but to give that to ourselves, that we have a role in our destiny to some extent. Some would argue we don't, but I think this quote kind of at the end really goes to that. And they talk about some of the adversarial stuff that happens, and then they say this: sometimes our adversaries don't always have to lie and manipulate us, but can tell certain truths that others closest to us may think we're not ready for yet. What an interesting statement, Wade.
Isn't it interesting? Certainly interesting given the Tifa dynamic. I mean,
it's so so interesting.
It's so interesting. I think that probably, I'm glad that you called that out. That's probably the line that made me pause for a moment and be like, whoa, our adversaries don't always have to lie and manipulate us, but can tell certain truths that others closest to us may think we're not ready for yet. Sometimes out of kindness, we do withhold truth from others.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of interaction.
Yeah.
I would say more likely than not, everyone who is in this conversation right now, everyone who's in the chat, everyone who's going to watch this does not say the 100% unfettered, unfiltered truth to everyone about everything that they think or need, even in questions that are asked directly.
It's so true.
We always do it. There's always a cost that we pay to maintain relationships. There's always a cost. Is it a big cost? Is it a small cost?
Yeah.
Is it one that we gladly pay? Is it one that wears on us over time? We pay small costs to be in relationship with one another. And that's just always how it's going to be. And so it's interesting that you could pull that out of this story in that way. And it's what we love about the characters. Misfit says, nah, not me. I tell everybody. That's funny.
No, I think that's a response to someone asking if Misfit was the writer.
The writer.
Yeah.
It's like Misfit's in it like, I'll tell everybody.
Ain't me. Yeah, there seems to be a delay over on YouTube's chat. I don't know. So just understand if we're not responding to you on YouTube, there's a weird delay via Streamlabs. Okay, let's continue our moseying on. Next, again, thank you, Miss Moon, for that. Next, we have one from Dirk EZM. The power of connection, Cloud and his friends. It's Cloud and the group. So it's like they're making the group another entity. So that's their juxtaposition. Really interesting things here. I especially appreciated the way that they talked about, the way that they organized this essay. Because there are clear subheadings throughout, and I really appreciate that as a reader.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to get into all of the content.
Yeah, again, this one. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, this one again is pretty lengthy, but it's substantial and powerful stuff. So
it has a narrative that runs through it, so we can summarize. And the core of what we're looking at is somewhat of motivation and willpower, and what it looks like and how that contributes to the piece that we have. That is a gross oversimplification of some very thoughtful words here. Okay, so hear me say that. But I think there's a quote at the end that I think does a good job where the author kind of gives us the big picture here.
Yeah.
And it's the one that starts with "words simply cannot." Do you want to read that one, or you want me to read it?
Words simply cannot. Where is it? Why don't you go ahead and read it, and I'm going to find it on the stream. Yeah.
Okay, great. It's at the very, very, very bottom.
Very, very, very bottom. Oh.
It says.
I found it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, you can read it if you want. I left my water bottle in the other room. You want to read it? I'll be right back.
I'll read it. Words simply cannot express what I feel for FF7, as I always think of them more like solid objects, while feelings are like water. Feelings are rivers in the vast ocean, while words are the boats that sail upon it. Words are often misunderstood and misinterpreted because, unlike in the animal kingdom, they don't flow into you, but rather cling to you like dirt and grime. Because one doesn't fall in love with something that one observes from the outside senses, but with what lies behind the facade. The reason I'm explaining this connection in such detail is that everything that exists in the universe, both psychological and physical, has developed, attracted, and connected through invisible threads. This is the only way we came into being. Why and how, we still don't know, only that it is so. Perhaps it is even the light itself that wants to live. So what do you make of that? Like in this game, in this essay, it talks about how in the game there is a interconnectedness to all things, and that connection, and connection of emotions, connection of actual life, kind of evokes this cycle of connection and disconnection and reconnection and all this stuff.
Yeah, the things that made this such a thoughtful and captivating read are also what create the challenges to give it a quick summary, which it deserves more time than, right? Like so all that being said, there's this idea that the end captures of what a lot of people will call in cultural interactions as a first wall versus a second wall, right?
Yeah.
There's the perception that we put up for people, and then there's actual intimacy and connection. If we just talk about those two things. So they would say there's different cultures and regions that they would do that. And it's different versions of ourselves. Some people will talk around masking with it when it comes to traits and personality. But realistically, for me, this was saying there's a surface level and then there's what's beyond. And they said it very poetically, right? I think of these things as more solid objects, while feelings are like the water moving within them in rivers through the vast ocean. And words are boats that sail upon them, and they're misunderstood and misinterpreted because they just kind of cling to you and they stick to you like dirt and grime. But there's this language between connection, relationship, the words that we say, our nonverbal communication. It's this beautiful picture of how these things happen. But it says this: one doesn't fall in love with something that one observes from the outside necessarily, right? The senses, but with what lies behind the facade. That behind the facade is that second wall. Like in the South, we have a very low first wall. That is, we will be friendly and it's nice to get to know you, but we have very high second walls typically.
Yeah.
Other parts of the country have very high first walls.
Yeah.
But have very low second walls. So you're not going to break through the facade as easily, but you get tricked in like a Southern cultural environment where you think you've broken through, but in reality, you may never really get access to what's behind, whereas other people are more upfront with that kind of high first wall. And so, if that makes sense in trying to really put it in, like, how does that functionally exist in our relationships with other people, right? That's the question that we're trying to get to. And this idea that you don't always have connection if you're just looking at what's on the surface, I think is really powerful.
I do too. I love this idea of Cloud being connected to a group here. And so Cloud and his friends, and I think you could even extrapolate this to Cloud and everything. There's a section in here on the voices of the planet and how they bounce right off of Sephiroth and all that kind of stuff. But to begin to be in tune and to remain connected with that which exists around you, boy, that's a great reminder, for sure. Again, I hope that you'll all take some time to read this one and all of them over on the website when we put those up next week. This one is too dense for us to summarize aptly, but we've tried to give you at least a summation of the end there.
Thank you for taking the time to submit it, Dirk.
Oh, truly.
We really enjoyed reading it.
Truly. Next up, we have Why Do Relationships Matter in Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth? Who's the author of this one? I actually don't have the...
I'll look it up if... I
please
think this
do.
First paragraph is a really good introduction and summary
I'll
for
read
this
it.
one. So I'll find the rest of it so we can do that.
Yeah,
Thanks
so
everybody for your patience.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Relationships are important as they help us not only to grow as people, but to hold us accountable and to be there to help us when we fall, especially when life gets messy. It's why I value the importance of having a strong community lean on and having someone you can confide in, something that I was very grateful to have during the low points of my life when I had felt isolated and alone. I think that is a terrific way of looking at these relationships, how it picks us up when we are alone. This author goes on to discuss the following dynamics: Barrett and Marlene, Barrett and Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Tifa, and Marl even. And says that there's reasons for all of this, and they evoke and resonate with specific core relationships that this author has had in the past. I think that it's pretty important for us to understand that relationships that we resonate with in game and in fiction oftentimes tell us something about the relationships that resonate with us in real life.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's such utility and power to navigate test narratives and experience things from a new perspective and story. I think it's so powerful, and we have access to it. It gives us a third-party space to be able to discuss these things in a way that we can get people's opinions that don't have to come from us. It's such a special thing. Just like this essay provides that framework for us to have this conversation. This idea that the power of imperfect but intentional and consistent relationships to walk through life is really well illustrated here. And we don't have a given username to share, so we'll just let this one be anonymous. You know you are. If you want to share, if you're in the chat right now, you're welcome to share it.
Share, but we don't want to expose you. We learned lessons from the first one, so we don't want to do that.
So we want to respect that. So thank you for the submission, and we'll include maybe a thing what you want your display name to be in the next one. So thank you for the essay. It was enjoyable to read. Yeah,
really, really good. Thank you so much. Next, we are bringing in what I call Shadow Genesis, because for some reason on my screen, I cannot get it to not be in negative dark mode. I don't know why, but this is Shadow Genesis, and I think it's a terrific.
I can't wait. I haven't seen this. I've only had it described to me in audio from Wade, so I won't see it
horrifying.
Until he scrolls. Oh my God!
It's horrifying.
I see it now.
It's horrifying. I can't get it to change. I don't know why. So
don't change it.
Yeah. So this person talks about Genesis and Cloud. Oh, actually, I know who this is. This is Catterfree. Catterfree, yes. So this person says, but Cat, you may ask, how does one ship something between two characters that never even meet? Lots and lots of conjecture, my friends. I like this because it's a little bit of
from line one.
It's a little bit of like conjecture, but then they go somewhere. Really interesting. Listen, Catterfree, it is not your fault. It is my computer. I have tried to manipulate this image so many times. We did this for like 20 minutes before we went live, trying to figure out this
document.
It does.
It's not his.
Every picture that I ended up including in here is for some reason negative, and I don't know why. So anyway, the mysteries of the internet, the whispers.
The whispers.
Okay, so this is a fascinating one because I never hear people talk about Cloud and Genesis for the reason that Kat talks about. They never meet. So what did you take from this? And especially as someone who has no freaking clue who Genesis is.
Well, I have some from anecdotal evidence from interviews and things like that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But that's, so for me, the first thing is creative relational lens. I love the applied creativity to take the essay showcase and then create a hypothetical scenario.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of reasons that we'll talk about, but that's the first thing that stands out to me. And I don't want to steal your thunder. So why don't you share a little bit next? And then this empathy lens is just revolving in my head. That's what this is. This is in a meta narrative. Yeah. It is a hypothetical, empathetic lens that is really well suited towards navigating relationships in a healthy capacity, because it means you have to understand people, that you have to understand the characters enough to be able to then imagine what a hypothetical interaction would be. It's almost like setting up two friends on a date.
I think they'd work out, but yeah.
Right?
In my head, it works. Yeah. God, that is such an interesting way. It's kind of like setting up friends on a date. You can imagine how it plays out, but then it may not. That's really interesting. So, I want to just read a few portions of this. Let's start with Cloud, mostly easy but sometimes misinterpreted character. Once a kid determined to prove himself to the village that scorned him, then developing into a determined young man, yet one who struggles with survivor's guilt and depression after the traumas he's been through. He's an introvert, but one who is able to be pulled out of his shell by friends he trusts. Then there's Genesis, a frequently I lost my spot. Maligned character. Once a kid with dreams of heroism, whose jealousy and pride was his downfall while raging against the very company that caused his existence, then to be followed by healing at the hands of goddess Minerva herself. So it goes on and says, A meeting between these two goes into Dirge of Cerberus, all this stuff, but Genesis would be taking that curiosity, they say, and poking the bear, so to speak, in regards to Cloud and wanting to test his strength. How could this shorty of a man have beaten Sephiroth multiple times when he and Angeal combined couldn't back with Shinra? Which leads...
Love curiosity. Love the
yeah,
curiosity.
I love the curiosity. It's like Genesis would marvel at weak Cloud somehow defeating Sephiroth and doing what he could not. Because on paper, Genesis exceeds Cloud, but there's something about Cloud's actualization that makes him greater than this pretty seasoned veteran soldier, Genesis. I think that's a really cool thought.
I think they let us right into their imagination too, when they say, I wonder what they would talk about. They say this, and it's near the bottom. There's a lot for them to talk about.
Yeah.
What dreams of being a hero meant and how they fell from each of those heights in different ways. Those that they've lost and how they blamed themselves for it. And then there's another essay for another day in there, which is great.
Yeah.
And sharing stories of those lost until they finally turn to get to know more about each other. And maybe, just maybe, healing from those losses together. A nice positive outlook at the end. It goes to what the potential of conversation and relationship can accomplish, even between two people who may not meet. Really special.
I think it's really cool, and it's very based in conjecture, but that's the fun of these sort of things. Like, what if?
This is the format.
That's really fun. Okay, thank you so much, Catterfree, for that. You can read the full essay on ProfNoctis.com next week. Okay, let's move on to John I, one of my actual former students. Isn't that fun? John I talks about Zack and Cloud. I found this one to be so fascinating to me.
Seeing the negative picture again. I'm sorry.
I know the negative pictures are like all over the place. Why do relationships matter? Thank you, DGC. You wrote that one. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So thank you for announcing yourself. Okay, so John I discusses a lot, talking about Zack's sacrifice, talking about the sword, the Buster Sword, and this idea of legacy. He mentions, I'm going to use this quote that you actually lifted, Evan. It's a great quote. What legacy have you inherited, and what can you do to live in fulfillment of it, as with Cloud and Zack, or in redemption of it, as with Cloud and Sephiroth? What legacy can you leave for future generations? The paths of our lives start far before us and continue far beyond us. The triumphs and failures encompassed in this are not always of our making, but they often become our responsibility, and we should have the appropriate respect for that. Dang. That's a great quote from this essay, right?
I'm looking something up here because there's elements of this that reminded me of a story in a movie that I saw recently. And the themes that it explores are the direct themes that are explored in this movie. So I couldn't not think about it kind of the whole time. But it takes us in a little different direction. So I want to make sure that you're able to conclude your kind of thought before I kind of pull us into a specific part of it.
What I particularly liked about this essay, and then I'll lead you to this, to your next point, is how John goes into this phrase right here. A man I never got the chance to meet or know has played a large part in my life. Not just because of how his death shaped my dad, but because I have spent more than a little time considering what kind of man I should be to live up to my grandfather's name. We all do this to some to a greater extent than others. It doesn't always go in the positive direction either. Sometimes we live in spite of the desires and memories of our forebears. And so this idea of being someone's living legacy is pretty intense. It's important because sometimes that is a galvanized inspiration and sometimes it is a heavy burden. It is a double-edged Buster Sword, so to speak, you know?
More of a nail bat.
Yeah, a nail bat, really. But I loved that, and thank you for the vulnerability of this essay as well, to think about Zach and the legacy that Cloud lives into. That's good. Great stuff. Evan, what did you have for this one?
So one of the other things that it explores as a facet of that legacy, which I thought was really interesting, was the obligation that we have for those who have sacrificed.
Yeah.
So when someone sacrifices themselves for you, whether they give of their time, their energy, their attention, sometimes it's financial, sometimes they give more than that, right? What do we owe versus what do we feel like we owe versus what should we owe?
Oh, man.
Right?
Is a really, and it's going to be nuanced and different in every scenario. But it made me think of this. It's a Jake Gyllenhaal movie called The Covenant that came out. It's from 2023. Okay.
And it's a movie based on a real story about the war in Afghanistan and a local interpreter who risked his life to save a soldier. And then the subsequent obligation that he has, or duty really in this case, that he feels beholden to this man for his sacrifice for what he did for him. So basically this man saves Jake Gyllenhaal's character, and there's mild spoilers, but I'll stop like kind of halfway through. So if you don't want spoilers in any capacity, whatever, you've been warned. And so this man goes out of his way to do this and save him, and he didn't have to, at great risk for himself. And then what happens in the subsequent complications of withdrawal from the country and the risks that this man and his family are enduring by staying when that presence is gone. We're not going to talk about all the complications from geopolitics here, right? But Jake Gyllenhaal's character has a line from this movie when he's explaining to someone why he would take these risks to go save this man. He says, "It has its hooks in me."
Ooh.
And the acting is incredible. It has its hooks in me. I can't get over it, basically, is what he's saying. Yeah. And I think that is so well illustrates the challenge that comes when someone sacrifices for us, and our negotiation with what is owed or obligated for the sacrifice that they've made. And it's that line, "It's got its hooks in me." I just couldn't stop thinking about that line as I read this. And they shared so freely about what they contemplate and their internal process in their own lives. So I'll echo the vulnerability and just say thanks for a wonderful read and essay that really made me think about a lot of things.
I think that you're spot on there. I mean, the idea of a legacy having its hooks in you. What a line. God, that's good. That's good. That could lead on to a whole other lecture for me, but we're not going to do that tonight. So let's go. Thank you so much for that contribution. DGC, don't you worry about that one bit, okay? Like, that was probably just my oversight as I was copying and pasting things over, and then it was like, oh, snap. So, yeah, thank you for that.
On the skill wheel, Prof and I are not natural administrators.
Honestly, we ain't that. That's so true.
So we appreciate those
we learn
that hold our hands.
Next up, Captain Jedi Piggy Prime, friends till the end. Evan, why don't you kick us off on this one?
Okay.
Here we get into...
One, there's references to modern psychological research, which I love. Great citations here.
We love the citations. And also shout out to Jedi for sending me a message asking me how to cite a particular instance that they had. So I was like, okay, awesome. I love that. Questions from students.
So this explores Tifa and Cloud's relationship, and then some of the healing process and the way that they support one another. And then references some modern psychology, which we can read here because I think it would make sense to do that supports that relationship, these sacred relationships, these ones that we have that are really trusting. The research says this, and this is from the American Journal of Psychiatry, and Choi is the author, Choi KW et al. So that means there's other people in there too. So she writes, people who have friends and close confidants are more satisfied with their lives and less likely to suffer from depression. On the other hand, when people are low in social connection because of isolation, loneliness, and poor quality relationships, they face an increased risk of premature death. The stakes of our relationships are life and death. This is important work. And so to use that to then evaluate the way that Cloud and Tifa heal and support one another in their real life and death scenarios, we don't go into battles against Cactar and all sorts of other things in our lives. But it made me ask myself, what are the things I'm contending for in my relationships? What are the things that I'm battling for? How am I creating spaces that can literally be life-giving and healing and support? What does that look like? Not just in my words and my actions, but just in my ability to be present for somebody.
Boy,
using Cloud and Tifa for that really made me think a lot.
When I talk to friends and even think about this for myself, I remember having a friend who got a new house, right? They'd gotten a nice job, they get into their first home, and they walk in, and it's both a sense of pride and excitement, but then a brand new question emerges. And you look around the house, empty, new furniture, whatever it is, and you begin to ask, who? Who will be with me in this house? And it was a moment of vulnerability from this friend of mine. And I was like, you know what? Like, that is the question. When you have brought in some level of stability into your life, you are then ready to really reckon with that question of like, who with? When the grind stops and you've arrived, you begin to ask, who? And this essay hit that for me, because Cloud is in this moment of trauma and the grind of like, we got to get Sephiroth, I got to heal my brain, all those kinds of things. But there comes a moment when it's like, okay, all things are settled. Who? And who is with me from the beginning? Who is with me now? All that kind of stuff. Not even getting into all of the shipping possibilities, but this essay really isolates that idea of the stakes of life and death are really on our relationships. I love that. That's power.
I recently, in my work, I work with clinicians and therapists in the mental health space, and we do a monthly newsletter, and we recorded a conversation about loneliness, because they declared a loneliness epidemic in the UK. They said they have like a minister of loneliness now because it's such a problem. And they say that the effects of loneliness are equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day to your health. 15 cigarettes a day to your health. And we know that those things are not necessarily good for us, right? And so I think it just goes to illustrate the gravity of the crisis when we don't have connections with others. And that's tough. Like, it's really tough because loneliness is it doesn't solve itself. It's a pit. It's a trap. It sinks in deeper. But it's a need that we have that is not well identified.
Right.
And so it's complicated and it's challenging, but once we know a need, we can really start to do something about it, I think, too. And so I love the relationship of Cloud and Tifa as a model for support and to combat Cloud's loneliness and isolation. And the same for Tifa. We don't have time to get into all the specifics of the way that they are that for each other, but I thought it was a really special way to highlight that portion of their relationship.
So I just finished this book by Jonathan Haidt, right, called The Anxious Generation. And there's several, the whole book is a banger. Have you read it, Ev?
Not all of it.
Oh my gosh. So there's a thing on the importance of relationship and how online relationships in some ways are facsimiles of what we need. But there's 4 traits that they say relationships really need to do to have this kind of Tifa Cloud benefit that we're beginning to see. Number 1, they have to be embodied. Okay.
Embodied.
Like, but Zoom like this can actually be helpful, right? But embodied. Number 2, they have to be synchronous. Synchronous is challenging in a world of texting. And like, I send a message and it may be ghosted. Number 3, they need to be one-to-one or one to several, but not one to multitudes. That's why Twitter leaves us empty, because it's one to multitudes. And then finally, number 4, there needs to be a high bar for entry and exit. I see this in Cloud and Tifa. They're embodied, they're synchronous, they're one-to-one, and then finally, there is a high bar. If you're quitting this, then there's going to be repercussions, right? And that's the issue with Tifa and Cloud in Rebirth. She's constantly like, I don't want to leave you, but you are being weird. She's thinking these things. She's like, I'm going to test you. Do you remember Emilio? Do you remember this obscure person? Do you remember the other kid? Yeah. She's testing him because there's a high bar for leaving. I think that's huge. Now, if your relationships are like, whatever, mosey. So anyway, thank you, Jedi, for that essay. I feel like you've uncovered a lot, and I really, really appreciate you. Let's keep going.
Yeah, a couple shout outs in the chat for your take on more content with Anxious Generation as it works with kids. It's on our brains. And no, it's on his brain.
It's like, it's infected my brain. Like as you can probably see, I am not on Twitter and BlueSky and social media at all. All of my tweets are pre-scheduled from a desktop now. And it's changed my life. It's changed my life. So, yeah.
And TC, just so you know, there's so many more people that are asking about more content around this and actionable content that can bridge the gap between parents and children and partners and friends and things like that. And so based on what we've learned about what we're capable of doing in our process, we're actively trying to figure out the best way to express that. So it's really encouraging to hear things like that, and we always really appreciate it when you share about your experience and what would be helpful. So thanks for that. Wade, I don't know if you would add anything, but I wanted to make sure we acknowledged it.
Tonight's probably not the best time for me to do a lecture on the Anxious Generation, but what I can say is I would love to eventually. So save your money. I'll get there. So we'll do it. But thank you for the kind words. So
thank you so much. And money's good too, but thanks for
money's good, but your presence tonight is enough. So we'll have those conversations. Okay, let's keep going. Aqua brings up Aqua brings in the fire because we're going to talk about a triangle, and it's going to be Cloud and Tifa and Aerith. It's the friendship
Illuminati
triangle.
Pyramid. The friendship pyramid.
Yes, I love this one because it talks about the individual roles and the ways friends support each other in this. So it's good stuff. What did you take from this?
I think we should start with the quote.
Go for it.
And the quote is the one that starts with overall. A lot of the times, if an essay has a summary statement and conclusion, it provides a great lens to rephrase. So sometimes we'll start with the end in mind and kind of work our way through. Yeah. That quote starts with the word overall and says this: overall, these 3 relationships resonate with me because they reveal the calmness, tenderness, and pure, lighthearted innocence that love can offer. In a story filled with darkness and heartbreaking moments, their bond shines as a steady source of warmth and hope. And that even though things can be complicated, and even though the path is not always clear or easy, that things and relationships are worth it.
I love that. Their bond shines a steady source of warmth and hope. I think one of the reasons why this idea of Cloud and Tifa and Aerith and Cloud and Aerith really resonates with us is because it's kind of like holding up a jewel of our relationships, and you're able to see the distinctions of each of these characters as they interact with one another here. It's kind of like how I am with you and how you are with me are going to be a little bit different than we are with other people. Right? And there's a way that we draw certain aspects of ourselves out of one another. And that's what we see with these 3. And I think that's why, by the way, I mean, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it a little bit, even though this essay is very innocent. I thank you, Aqua, in the chat for that. When it talks about this, it's just an interesting piece of like, how does Aerith pull a side of Cloud out that no one else does? How does Tifa pull a side of Cloud out? How does Cloud do that for Aerith and Tifa? And how do Tifa and Aerith do that for one another? It's so interesting. And so one of the things that I believe, and this is kind of my thesis on this, people oftentimes gravitate to the pairings of characters that most resonate with the side of themselves that they find is drawn out by that, right? Mm-hmm. So like, I say this in my, whenever I teach classes on Genesis, archetypal narratives of the Bible, right? And there's always the story of the serpent that tempts the man and the woman. And I say, you know, I've never met a talking snake, right? But I hear his voice daily. And it's not about the talking snake. It's about that voice in the back of my mind that's tempting me to do the thing that I probably shouldn't do. And in the same way, I've never met an Aerith, but I have known several Aeriths in my life. I've never known Tifa, but I know several Tifas in my life, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, how does that draw these things out of me? To me, that's what the core of this particular essay really, really did. It talks about this emotional foundation that allows each one to grow, and it's the catalyst of those friendships.
Yeah, it makes me think of the work on emotional intelligence a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the frameworks at the beginning of the work on emotional intelligence is self-awareness.
Yeah.
An ability to be aware of yourself, and then because of that, then a greater awareness of others. And it requires both. And so it makes me curious about their self-awareness in the moments of interaction, because we don't get like clear insights into that. But in order for them to go to the deeper places that they need to, there are elements of self-awareness present within the story where they repair, they apologize, they debate, they discuss, and it comes back to how do I build that in my own life?
Yeah.
What are the frameworks that I can use to navigate relationships and find similar benefit that I see in these characters? And Aqua did a fantastic job kind of invoking that curiosity in that aspect for me.
Yeah, I think that's really it. So well done, Aqua. Just very, very sensitive topic, because these three oftentimes get pitted against each other sometimes. But you did a great job of navigating this. Well done there.
Very tactful.
Very tactful and illuminating as well. Let's move on to Afro Cloud, talking about the Avalanche besties, Tifa and Jessie. What a sweet pairing. No, I don't hear a lot about Tifa and Jessie, but their relationship is so sweet.
And they didn't say anything about Jessie being a cowboy, Wade.
That really is a darn shame, right? Because everybody knows that Jessie is a cowboy who's in love with Biggs. It's Brokeback Midgar, baby, and that's what we love.
Another Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
It is. Jake Gyllenhaal, special guest of the stream tonight. Come on in.
Come on in, Jake. We talked about you a lot. But don't bring your Nightcrawler self. He's creepy.
No, bring Mysterio.
Mysterio, Donnie Darko. Let's get
the good ones.
Anyways, so this essay talks a lot about Tifa and Jessie and developments of like mutual support as friends and growth, but specifically how vulnerability and consistency over time help us break through into the life that we want and better understand our purpose.
Yeah.
And that is a really special topic to explore. That vulnerability and consistency over time are two pieces of the puzzle that we can use to break through in life and kind of better understand our purpose.
Yeah.
What is it about these characters that lands with you like that?
What I love about this particular one is this Afro Cloud talks about scenes that happen from the companion book, Traces of Two Pasts. This is not exclusively from Remake, but we get to see the friendship and bond between Tifa and Jesse that's only inferred in the game. I think that's really, really kind of cool, because we see that they're close, and especially when they go to the play in Rebirth, we see how it affects Tifa. But like, if you don't have that context for some of the things that have happened when Tifa first showed up in Midgar and was like making her life, then you might miss some of their closeness. Jesse, Jesse's the one that gets Tifa into Avalanche, into planetology, all that kind of stuff. And really, one of the things that I do think is really cool here is that Jesse is the catalyst for the life that Tifa is inheriting in Midgar. From her role at the bar to her reunion to Cloud, with Cloud even. I mean, it is not often that you get to see that side of Tifa, who's in need of a mentor and has a mentor, like in Jesse. I very unique pairing that I really, really loved. Well done.
And they take it further and express about some of how that has impacted their own life here when they say, Tifa and Jesse's relationship speaks to me because I was in a similar situation with work and debt. Thankfully, I have found friends and mentors to help me get off of this stagnant life. Thanks to those friends and mentors, I have found growth, fulfillment, and happiness through martial arts, art, design, and now content creation.
See, I love that.
That's the path.
That's it.
That's literally what happened for them. They found their purpose in eco-terrorism, but or eco maybe terrorism, right?
Yeah.
But there's a framework for how a story can inspire us and help us to understand some of the narratives in our life, and that we can see hope in, even when all the different pieces of it aren't there for us. That there's a framework for
great
hope.
Point. That's just a great point. You know, and like, Tifa pays it forward with Aerith as well. And knowing this relationship with Tifa and Jesse, it gives a bit of context when Aerith, I think particularly in the train graveyard, when the spirits are all swarming around her, and Tifa grabs her and pulls her out of it and says, I got you, right? It's the same sort of intonation that Jesse offers to Tifa in Traces of Two Paths, saying, I got you, let me show you the ropes. I think that's really, really cool. You don't really get to see that. So,
Dirk chimes in here. Jesse could also be compared to Aerith because she motivates the people around her without even realizing.
That's true.
There's passive action causing motivation. It's a great point, Dirk.
I love that. That's good. Hey, thank you for this, Afro Cloud. Very, very interesting pairing. Let's continue going. Next, we have Celestial Buddies talking about Tifa and Aerith. Yeah, this one's really, really good. So you highlighted a number of things about this. Mainly the idea that this essay pushes against the rivalry that sometimes we see between Tifa and Aerith. Again, kind of going back to the OG, but certainly in the fandom, there's a bit of a rivalry there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the coming of... Oh, wrong. I'm on the wrong notes. I think what's interesting to me about this one is the trauma as a foundation for their relationship. The way that unique experiences with, I would say, large emotional weight, like trauma, can provide foundations for different kinds of relationships than we can have with other people. Yeah. There's something about someone who's walked a path before, even if it wasn't the exact path, but one that's similar, that has power in our lives to be able to make connections and support each other, that we're just not going to have the exact same connection with someone who hasn't experienced it before. This is why support groups are so powerful as a tool to be able to navigate super challenging situations in our life. It makes me think of, there's a program in our area that is for kids and families who have lost a parent or sibling. And if you've experienced that that pain, then you know how complicated it is. And you can imagine how complicated it is. But they get together regularly and they talk and they play and they have fun. But it's a really unique support group for people who've had that unique family experience.
Yeah.
And that's what came to mind when I think about this, the power of the way that we can use our trauma to enable us to launch into greater understanding with each other and more of the life that we want, to move not past the trauma, but to carry it with us and understand how we cope, how we manage, and how we're changed as people when we have these great traumatic experiences, because it's active in the way that it's going to. It's not just something that happened to us. It's something that we incorporate as part of ourselves, and then we gain ownership over it to then go where we want to go. And that's a fascinating, complicated work.
I think that the idea of that kind of bonding over a shared trauma or a shared emotion, even if the trauma is different, it can be really, it's healing in a lot of ways. We see that because, kind of going back to one of the former essays, if the stakes of relationships are life and death, right, then it's so important to be able to see someone else that's in the struggle with you, so it doesn't feel like you're just getting like somebody throwing you a rope while you're in a pit, but it's like they're in the pit with you to a degree, and somehow that gives some community that is a little bit more. Also got to give a shout out to this one paragraph. As a woman, Tifa and Aerith's friendship is very important to me. It's rare to see such well-written female friendships in media in general, and this is especially true when it comes to video games. It really seems like women resonate with the Tifa and Aerith dynamic as conveyed in the remake. I appreciate that. I love that. I notice that their relationship is so much better fleshed out, and they seem to be actual friends, which makes it all the more heartbreaking when they lose one another. But for women to kind of see their own relationships embodied in this is really cool. So.
Well, there's just an empathy to that too.
Yeah.
The idea that someone's lived experience would be different than ours, and we're going to submit ourselves to their perspective and trust that whether we would say it's exactly how we experience it or not, that there's different parts of different stories that are really going to connect that we may not get. So I have an example of this actually that surprised me the other day, if you think we have an extra 30 seconds.
Yeah, go for it.
So I was watching Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Oh boy.
And I was watching it in the theater. And I'm in the theater, and I love going to movies in the theater because it's a captivating experience. Everybody's watching it together, and you get to see other people's reactions to things that happen in the movie. And there is a scene where two mothers from different tribes in this Avatar world. James Cameron has done this to us, where you can't just talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like.
So there's two mother characters who they're not arguing, but they're kind of having a hidden spat.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're having a hidden spat, and they just kind of hiss at each other. Like, all that happens is they hiss at each other. They don't say words. They don't do this. There's a moment where something happens in the family units, and then the two mothers kind of at each other. Okay. I kind of
I do remember that scene, yeah.
Oh, they're hissing. Okay, but this is the thing that, this is kind of all I thought about for a while in this movie because of how poignant it was to me. On either side of me were two families from two different cultures. Very clearly two different parts of the world. They're speaking another language, right?
Yeah.
They are having a different experience. We're not laughing at the same moments, right? We're not, paying attention. You can kind of tell what strikes you as funny and what strikes somebody else as funny. But they laughed so hard and so knowingly at that moment where the two mothers hissed at each other that culturally I had to say that moment wasn't for me.
That wasn't for me.
Understand. I don't understand
that's so smart.
That moment. And they laughed about it for 5 minutes. Two different families. They didn't know each other.
I love that. That's so good.
And so it just sits there, and you're just like, wow, there's different things. So when we look at the perspective, and then she says, as a woman, this was there's a whole different world and lens that everybody's experiencing simultaneously. Is. And story has the power to illustrate the contrast between them. And it was a great essay here from
That's
Celestial
cool.
Buddies.
I love that.
I appreciate it.
something is not for you, and that's okay. But for the ones that it's for, man, it could be. It reminds me of Gina Davis and her foundation of like representation and stuff. And gosh, I freaking love it because she says her tagline, if you can look up Gina Davis Foundation, her tagline is, if she can see it, she can be it. Right. Mm-hmm. And like, I remember when a group in one of my classes presented on this foundation. I was like, you mean the Thelma and Louise lady? Like that actor? And they were like, but did you know she had all of this other? And they said that and said the whole purpose is we want to depict women in a variety of scenarios on screen so that little girls will grow up dreaming that they can also be that thing. And I'm like, that's awesome. Now it's since expanded to include a lot of different groups that should be represented well. But like, I love that. So again, it's not for me, but I'm glad it's for someone, right? I can't engage in it the same way. I can appreciate it, but I love when people see themselves on the screen. I love it.
But it can be for me if I listen.
Oh boy, yeah, great banger line. That is exactly right. It can be for me if I listen. Like it doesn't have to hit me the same way, but I can grow and become better as a result of that. I love that. That's well said, Evan.
And well written by Celestial Buddies.
And so well written by Celestial Buddies. Thank you so much. All right, we're moving on to more Tifa and Aerith.
Hash Brown says hello. Say hi to Hash Brown.
Oh, hey, Hash Brown. Sorry, I'm engrossed.
I know. I'm watching the chats.
Thank you for highlighting the chat for me because I am not watching it. Okay, so this one, who wrote this one? Tifa and Aerith. Yeah, good. You look it up, and we're going to begin. So this one takes the Tifa and Aerith piece and kind of puts it into a kind of coming-of-age support sort of thing. It dives into a little bit of Zangan here, Tifa's mentor in martial arts. Love it. But it also looks at the losses they have had and the bonds that they have created as far as those again shared losses. To kind of move toward the concluding paragraph a little bit of this one, here's one of the things that I love. It's in Rebirth that lies my favorite part of this duo when they finally open themselves to one another. Tifa reveals to Aerith all the truth from 5 years ago, even knowing that she doesn't possess future knowledge anymore. She confides in Aerith the most painful secret she could never tell Cloud, even though he is her last tie to Nibelheim. Later on, Tifa encourages her to seek Zack's family in Gungaga, supporting her when the tragic news falls upon her. Every moment they are on screen is a joyful and healthy alternative of Aerith living her many, quote, first times journey, and Tifa delighting in having a best friend that she can have fun with it without any second expectations or second intentions. I like that because it grounds the two of them in just like this, again, as we've said before, this deep relationship of support and going through life together. What this essay reminded me of is life and experiences are more meaningful when they are shared experiences. I think about that all the time. I used to travel the world as a college student, signing up for trips, study abroad, service learning trips, and I would sign up by myself. And I would always make friends, and I'd have friends for that journey or whatever, and I'd return home, and it was always great. But when I had a friend that knew me go on a trip with me for the first time as an adult, I was like, oh, that's amazing. And do you know what it actually makes me remember? At the end of the pandemic, well, at the end of the lockdown, not the end of the pandemic, because I guess technically we're still in it, but at the end of the lockdown, when we and like a group of our friends went to Hawaii, I could have,
tickets were so cheap
because they were so cheap and nobody was there, and it was like the week that airlines had opened back up or something like that, and it was so dirt cheap, and like I could have done that, right? But it was so much more enriching to go with people that I could share it with, that I cared about. Just like, I think about that all the time. I almost want to retravel and retread my steps across the world with people that I care about now. Just to see it in a new light, you know? I don't know.
Revisiting is so powerful. There's so many memories from that moment that you're right. This makes you think of. The one that comes to mind for me is when a certain friend wouldn't ride in the car with you anymore because apparently you wouldn't stop playing Koopa Troopa beach music nonstop while we drove around Hawaii.
It is the theme of my people in Hawaii.
And they said, I can't hear that steel drum one more time. I'm riding with you. So I really enjoyed that one.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
So,
I really
shared
enjoyed
experiences. We love it.
The other thing I'll mention about this one, and I'll read this quote, it goes to common mission and the power of common mission and the way that it can unite us. They both embodied the role of denying their wishes to help others by either joining Avalanche or taking care of the parentless kids in Sector 5. Just as the official soundtrack says, Aerith and Tifa were, quote, waiting to be found by an equal who could truly understand the pain, the loss that life made them endure. And how that common mission, combined with some of those experiences that they had and shared, provided a pathway for them to go deeper in relationship and understand each other. And nobody really talked about common mission in that way. So I wanted to make sure that we highlighted that aspect.
No, I love that. Well done. Did you find who wrote that one?
We don't have a verified shareable name.
Oh, okay,
so
got it. That's why there wasn't one on there. Okay, got it.
And if we missed it, big apologies.
Yeah, big apologies. Thank you so much for submitting. Appreciate it. Next, we go to Catherine, who is going to talk about Cloud and Aerith. I thought this one was so fascinating because it begins with something that is kind of extra canonical outside the game. It's the billboards from about getting support and stuff. Friends helping friends. It was a mental health ad campaign that showed a variety of characters, but friends supporting friends. And I thought that was a great entryway into this.
Yeah, shatters that fourth wall and takes it right into real life. I loved the focus there of the lens. I dropped our notes in. I had them in a separate doc, so they're in here. Oh, I got you. The one thing that really stuck out to me that made this essay distinct was the way that it talked about the role of friends, specifically in emotional regulation.
Emotional regulation, yeah.
The way that they assist in regulating emotions, because we regulate our own emotions when we're possible, right? Emotions can be big, they can be small, we can hide them. But at the end of the day, modern thought says emotions are just information. That they exist. And what they do is they tell us something. They can tell us things that they may be responding to inputs or a situation inaccurately, but they tell us something in them. So when we experience them, emotions tell us something. And so from there, we can work on regulating our emotions and what that looks like. But then talking about the role that those that we care about, when we get to depth of relationship, that we can serve to help regulate and support one another in that way, I thought was a special lens in this one.
Yeah, no, I love that kind of regulation that you're talking about from a standpoint of kind of seeing that progression of the co-regulation. Like, Catherine goes through, not chapter by chapter, but points out significant moments that like, hey, this was a moment that this really happened or emphasized and all that stuff. Just a very, really well laid out essay that takes you, it almost read to me like a companion piece of like, I wanted it to be annotations for the chapters as I'm playing through them. It's like
Catherine's concordance and commentary.
I love that. That's beautiful. Catherine, well done on this one. In the interest of time, we are going to keep moving. So thank you so much for that one. Great read. Will be on the website next week. Next, we have Wesley, who has talked a little bit about a particular scene, the playground scene in Midgar. One of my favorite scenes in Remake. And it definitely highlights conversations between Cloud and Aerith, and later Tifa here. So what did you take from this particular one?
I think the thing that stuck out to me most distinctly from my reading is the power of things unsaid.
Okay.
And reading between the lines. There's a lot of discussion about what is said versus what is felt in these characters.
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest strengths of the storytelling and the characters in the Rebirth and Remake games is the long pauses, the spaces, the moments for reflection and contemplation, the hesitations that these characters show in conversation, where they'll go to say something and then you can tell they're holding it back, and they allow the characters to interact a little bit to get to where it's going. Whereas somebody who is more concerned about just getting the point across is not going to spend the time as a storyteller in those in-between moments and really highlight the power of what's unsaid. If you just read the content of the text, you would miss all of those emotional moments because they're seen and they're felt. They're not communicated verbally at first. And I thought that was a really unique take on some of the parts of what I found particularly special. It sounds like we agree, Wesley and I agree, that there's power in what's unsaid and in between the lines themselves. You, having played and interacted with these games significantly more than I have, probably have a different and interesting perspective on that. How do you deal with and really experience that power when it comes to the way they choose to tell this story?
How do I deal with it? I'm not really sure. Kind of rephrase that question for me, because I want to get to the heart of it. I want to make sure that I'm...
What speaks to you about the way that they tell the story and the things that are unsaid, in the moments and the pauses and the stutters and the uncertainty, and then the way the characters figure it out? What speaks to you from the things that are unsaid and in between the lines in these stories?
I think that when it comes to the playground scene, for me personally, it's very much... Aerith is inquiring of Cloud in a way that she's like trying to figure him out, but also still trying to be this like fun, like happy-go-lucky girl, but she has some deep pain there. When I first saw this in the original game, and even more so in the remake, Aerith has a woundedness and a heartache over the first guy that she ever loved. And she's testing out Cloud to see if like he's for real. Like, you remind me of him. Are you him? Like, it's kind of weird. But I'm also really distracted and drawn by Cloud's reaction to her. Because, like, there's something going on with him. He's glitching and all this kind of stuff. Oh, my goodness. Are we getting a raid?
It's a Bio-Roxas in here.
A Bio-Roxas raid? What's up? How you doing, Bio? Welcome in. Thanks, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. So tonight we are doing our monthly essay read as we are looking over all of the essays that people have submitted. Tonight we're talking about relationships, and we're on our last one. So you're at the culmination tonight. So I mean, for me, I just think I am always more drawn to the Aerith sequence of the playground than some of the scenes with Tifa in the playground, right? Oh, is today Bio's birthday?
Is today his rebirth day?
Happy birthday, Bio boy, as it says in the chat. Happy freaking birthday. Wow, that's awesome.
Birthday.
Oh my gosh. Well, happy stinking birthday. And I hope that you're having a great day. Tell the family I said hello. Thanks for the raid. Appreciate you. So yeah, I want to read this one piece that Wesley says here. Cloud's just as Aerith is thinking about Zach, Cloud is thinking about Tifa. This is not to invalidate their relationship with one another, which is sensitively developing, but it is to acknowledge that all their interactions are tinged with a nostalgia, whether recognized or not, for someone else. In turn, this beautifully mirrors, for me and many players of the original game, our relationship to the remake series. I think that's a really cool point there. Like, sometimes the way that we interact with one another, Cloud and Tifa are interacting with each other in real time, but they're also interacting with their pasts. And isn't that the way it is? Like, our relationship in the present is always through the lens and through some of the guardrails of experiences of our past. And it's almost like we're categorizing and typing people. We're archetyping people in real time. The challenge is to not go on autopilot with people that remind us of people of our past. But to be present is to break through, dare I say, defy destiny again, and say, this is its own thing. And I'm not gonna interact with you out of residue from former relationships. I don't know.
Well,
it's a working theory in me.
No, well, I think this is more, I'm thinking, you've got me thinking about new things.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this is not well formulated, but it makes me think about the maturity and the work that it takes to healthily challenge our assumptions about others.
Yeah.
And our brains, I'll just speak me, my brain organizes patterns, and when we get used to things, we get used to them and we assimilate them into our environment. And the same thing, we experience that with people too. Yeah. They have a certain role in our life. They're the fun-go-lucky one. They're the serious one. They're the ones that likes the details, right? We are always categorizing and arranging and making sense of the world around us. It's why you can be scent blind to your own home.
Yeah.
You know, you have scents and smells, but you get so used to what they are. When you leave for a while and you come back, you experience that in a new way because you kind of reacclimate to your environment. Yeah. And it makes me curious about the ways that we do that with people as well. And the moments when our challenge of what we've ascribed to someone's character or our experience with them or our perceptions of them, are we allowing them to be dynamic and changing people too? Or am I only giving that credit and that agency to myself? And how do I live my life and have conversations and relationships in a way that people feel safe being able to become who they're being, and for me not to ascribe anything from their past or my past as a wholesale categorization there. And so that's where that curiosity lies is am I ascribing something from my past, like you said, to somebody, or am I just making assumptions? What does it look like for me to have a mature perspective and challenge assumptions when it comes to people and relationships in my life, whether that's personal or professional? It sounds like difficult and meaningful work that I'm hesitant to do because it is challenging.
You want to, so this is a tip for everybody in the chat. If you want to delve into this for yourselves, this is something that I actually do in my classes and teach in my classes. Have we ever talked about the genogram?
Talk about the genogram, baby.
Oh, brother. I know I've talked about it at least once, mentioned it on stream. We're going to do a quick Google search since this was our last essay. Hey, thank you, Wesley, for this. But when we talk about relationships, and this would actually be a good wrap up. Everybody, I want you to Google genogram, okay? I teach genograms in my class because they are an incredible way to think about our relationships, particularly our familial relationships. But instead of just bloodlines, mind you, they are They are relational and emotional lines between family members. So it ends up looking kind of like this. I don't know if you can see this on the chat, Evan.
I'll tell you, keep going.
Yeah.
Go down.
So
Move it a little to the right.
I don't know if I can move it any more to the right, but
scroll down a little bit more and then you'll be good.
Okay, there we go. There we go. So on here, it kind of looks like this. And you can see, like in this family tree, there are all of these squiggly little lines. And these lines denote, are they very close to one another? Are they far? Are they disconnected? Was there trauma? All that kind of stuff. Now, here's what's interesting. This is the reason why I do this. A genogram shows you how your family has operated. And it sets a course for what is familiar to you in relationships. Your family of origin becomes familiar to you in current relationships. So, if you show me a genogram where you and your, I'm going to use just a kind of sort of thing. You and your dad have a tenuous relationship. You and your brother have a tenuous relationship. You and your mom have a really close relationship. You and your sister have a really close relationship. Then you look out and it shows dad and grandpa have a really close relationship on his side. Brother and grandpa on that side have a close relationship. Then what you may understand is that this person that you're dissecting may be you. You might find a level of familiarity more with females, motherly, sisterly types, and more insecurity with male figures in your life, father, brother, grandfather types. Now, how does that play out? You move to college for the first time, and what happens? You try to rebuild that family of origin. You connect with people that could be sisters, moms. You may try to avoid situations with more masculine figures in your life. That is one of the ways that our family of origin, which is familiar to us, dictates the way that we interact with the world around us. Now, it's not always close and unclose. I talk about this in relationships as well. Everybody has had the experience of having someone in their life who is with the wrong person romantically, right? Everybody does that. The question is, why don't they see it? Everybody knows that this relationship is, quote, dysfunctional. But the genogram may give us a clue as to what is dysfunctional in my genogram may be functional in yours. And the level of, quote, dysfunction or unhealthiness may be more familiar to you, whereas for me it would be traumatic and dramatic. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, it's just such an interesting piece to me because, like, when you're going up to strangers, you're immediately kind of archetyping them. But then through that lens of overlaying your previous memories onto that current relationship, you are able to break through and hopefully build a genuine, real, unique relationship with the person. So it's kind of like we need those archetypes from the past, but you can't settle for those archetypes of the past. Mm-hmm. It's a building block that leads you to something else. Anyway, it's a fascinating field of study. Homework might be, if you're in the chat, go to the site genopro.com/genogram and maybe write your own. We'd love to hear about your findings in that. I've had students that did this and they were like, that's why I do the things that I do. I'm like, yeah, it sucks that we can realize this, but knowing is half the battle, like we learned in G.I. Joe. So,
the more you know. Wait, let's do a little double check and make sure that we've gotten all the essays that we read and have notes in.
Okay.
I think Amy might.
Is there one we're missing or two we're missing?
Well, I don't know.
Sorry.
Amy asked maybe she's last, and then I looked and it wasn't where we put the rest of them.
Okay,
so,
hang on. Let me
make sure
do a
we
quick check.
Do a little cleanup.
No, that's great. Thank you for that. Let me look.
We're going to get it.
We're going to get it. Don't you worry. That's just an oversight. Your past informs your present, but does not define it. That's a great phrase there. It informs it. And sometimes defying destiny is about reconciling that and saying, no, this is not the way that it will inform my future. Let me see. I'm looking.
Amy says it's Tifa and Aerith closure essay.
Oh, okay, got it. Let me look.
We're gonna find it.
We're gonna find it. Don't you worry. It's just, as you can imagine, the inbox is ludicrous. Let me see if I can find it here.
Okay, so I'm going to handle some questions from the chat.
Yeah, please do.
So Looney has asked, how would it work with someone who are separated from their families, like going into foster care or something like that? How does it work when there's generational uncertainty, and how does the genogram incorporate those kinds of disruptions?
So at that point, it doesn't really matter about... okay, so there's a couple of things. It depends on how close of a relationship or proximity there was to the family of origin, and then also to the new created family. There's like the inherited family and the family you actually have. And I think that that's the way that it would kind of work. Now, there are commonalities with people that have some level of separation in family, so that can play a role in the genogram. I would depict that, but it would be kind of dotted or slashed lines denoting that there's been a separation. And boy, that can be a challenge. GenoPro does not work on Mac. That is unfortunate.
Well, we'll get right on the phone with them. Tell them to get their act together.
For real. Okay, I'm sorry. I am looking for this essay right now. I'm just having trouble finding it.
Well, we're going to find it.
We're going to find it. It's just a matter of where is it?
Somewhere in our 34, 36 pages of essays that we've
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Which is just so wonderful.
We love it.
Well, just as it's hard to not reflect while we're, talking in this space.
Isn't that the truth?
Just because this is the second one that we've done, and we've learned so much about there's no real playbook for how to do an essay stream.
No, there's not.
So,
Amy, would you mind resending it really quick? If you don't mind, essays at ProfNoctis. Oh, wait, hang on. Essays at ProfNoctis.com, if you don't mind. That would be phenomenal.
Thank you.
Thank you, because it's actually still not showing up. I'm doing a search right now, so IDK.
But we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it live.
We're gonna get it live, and we're gonna read it live. I don't know. I am not seeing it in my inbox though, for some reason.
Maybe it got marked as spam. Did you include a request for money and ask for our social security numbers and credit card in your essay so that Google would flag it as spam?
Yeah, did you do that? Did you try to scam us?
Yeah, are you trying to get us?
Moon
says all the essays have been so well thought out and so much depth. I agree.
I agree. Y'all are, again, one of the most interesting communities here because y'all just are such good writers. So.
And the goal is a classroom experience, right?
Yeah.
So to have that is special. I'm not in school every day like you are anymore. I take classes, now and again for continuing ed, but this environment of collaboration. Amy says she sent it.
There it is. I have it. I'm going to put it into our doc, and then we're going to go from there. Okay.
Yeah. Take your time.
Okay. Bam. Bam. Bam.
She said she linked in Ever Crisis videos. That's spam.
I see that.
Some would argue that it is. Not me, but some would argue that Ever Crisis at its core is just spam. Not me. Ever Crisis core. Some, but not me. Some.
Not I, said the billy goat. Okay, let me, okay, back up, baby. And now we scroll all the way down. I'm going to add it to our shared doc so that you can also read it.
Thank you. You're getting good at this. Can we trade off reading paragraphs?
I think that's the way that we have to do it, actually. So, okay, and bam.
Oh, okay.
There it is in all its glory. Oops.
I think Amy should get to pick the reading style that we use.
Agreed.
To read it. Well, you can choose an accent. You can have your essay read by a character, and we will, at least a sentence, do our best impression of your desires here, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we're on a delay though. I forgot we're on a delay, so it's going to be a minute till we have it. So maybe let's read the title and start reading it, and then Amy, if you so choose to give us a vocal lens to speak some of this through, we will be able to chat about that. So I'm going to start reading this on the title. I'll read paragraph 1.
Okay.
Is that good? Okay. So we got it on the screen. Are we good?
It is on the screen. We are ready for it. So go for it.
Tifa and Aerith, mutual pursuit of closure. Tifa and Aerith undeniably represent the heart of Final Fantasy VII. Their presence anchors Cloud's psyche and provides emotional support to the party. The two females are commonly pitted against each other in fandom spaces. However, rather than being portrayed as rivals, the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth storylines emphasize their friendship. They also mutually encourage each other in the pursuit of closure, mysteries related to their bonds.
Tifa and Aerith's moments of friendship and bond forming are as crucial to the story of Final Fantasy VII as the player's choices of Cloud's dialogue. Their friendship is thoughtfully baked into the narrative. Don Corneo's mansion provided the first moment of bonding through kicking Corneo's cronies to the curb. Good alliteration there. They recognize a mutual need to ally themselves with one another to escape the mansion. Their partnership further evolved as they joke around, with Cloud as their pack chocobo in the train graveyard.
So true. In Rebirth, their bonding moments are made more apparent. With the addition of Traces of Two Pasts by Nojima, readers learn how the girls shared their past and talked about boys or first loves. This conversation is concluded on the cruise ship. They also partnered up in the Costa del Sol minigames. More importantly, the pursuit of closure is brought to the forefront of their interactions with Cloud.
The APA Dictionary of Psychology defines closure as, quote, the act, achievement, or sense of completing or resolving something. In psychotherapy, for example, a client achieves closure with the recognition that they have reached a resolution to a particular psychological issue or relationship problem. Additionally, quote, need for cognitive closure, quote, is the desire or motivation to have a definitive answer or knowledge instead of uncertainty or doubt.
In Aerith's case, she has not heard definitively the fate of Zack Fair, her first love from Crisis Core. While we can safely assume she knew of his fate from her connection to the Lifestream and the planet, she also connected Cloud to Zack during their playground discussion and sought information from Cloud. The waters are further muddied by Cloud's foggy recollections in Nibelheim and the meeting with Zack's parents.
Cloud and Tifa made a promise to each other when they were children. The pair parted, not seeing each other for 7 years in Tifa's memory and 5 in Cloud's. Ever Crisis revealed that Tifa reunited with Cloud in the Midgar slums when he was Mako poisoned. During the flashback sequence in Calm, Tifa must reconcile her memories with Cloud's. Hidden from both of them at the time is that he hid from his childhood friend in the guise of a Shinra trooper.
When learning about Zack from Cloud, Tifa is considerate and offers to tell Aerith. Cloud's memory is muddled, so he relays a warped reality. Zack died, but not from a bridge collapse. Aerith would be able to sort out what is right from wrong. The women also talked previously in Gungaga.
Despite being envious of their normal childhoods, Aerith still supported Tifa and Cloud as they climbed Mount Nibel with Yuffie. Earlier in the story, she listens to Tifa and calm when her friend is confused by the storytelling.
Their bonds are crucial to their understanding of each other's individual personalities and needs. Without a framework formed around friendship, they would not have supported each other's personal objectives. They are secure in their present bonds with the rest of the party and are not envious when they split to reach a goal or to have fun. They keep the party grounded through their connections to the people on the ground floor and the planet.
And then there are a series of references here. Well done, Amy. We had a lot of Cloud and Tifa tonight, and a lot of different lenses, but one of the things that I love is that each one of these has brought in something completely unique. A lot of Tifa and Aerith, and how both of them interact with Cloud and all of that kind of stuff. That is what I have found to be so interesting about all of this. Amy, you did a really cool job of reframing and retelling kind of Cloud and Tifa's shared past. And that shared past, how it influences and impacts those around them, like Aerith and Yuffie, even to a degree. What stood out to you about this one, Evan?
Yeah, there's two things. I'm
Yeah.
obviously curious about the concept of closure, but it's not where I want to start. What I want to start with is the way that Amy invokes the power of friendship outside of the individual connections. And she talks about how their connection enables them to be something better and more for others in the group. That from the work that they do with each other in pursuit of closure and connection, then enables out of that friendship. They individually do a lot of things, but when they combine forces, they have their true superpower, which is both of their perspectives that they can then use to anchor other people in the group. And that's not a dynamic that we have explored tonight.
Yeah.
This idea that when you're friends with somebody and you have a strong relationship, the benefits of that relationship extend far beyond just the individuals involved. But that committing to healthy friendship and doing the work to build those bonds can create a template, an anchor, and a support, and can extend and really exponentially multiply the power of what's done in the individual relationship to be able to extend something to others that wouldn't normally exist with individual effort or attention. That's very powerful.
It really is. It really is. The idea of closure and bonds and how those work together and play together. Gosh, that's a really interesting piece. I'm going to want to think about that one a little bit more. That's really, really cool. I think tonight, as we kind of close out, I have a new appreciation for the Aerith and Tifa dynamic, because that's come up in several of the essays. I think that's really awesome.
I think for me, we had a lot of insights and long-form conversations about what people have thought about the games and their experiences through the interviews and their past and the playthroughs. But in a game that focuses on party and group, to get so many data points of thoughtful consideration around the work and what that has meant to folks and where they see themselves in it gives me I'm seeing with more open eyes in some different ways the impact that this story has and its functional use as a meaning-making mechanism for all of us.
Yeah.
And when we get together and have these conversations, and when we take the time to write, and we take the time to read and listen and discuss, just how much of an extension it is in that meaning making to take video games from escape to recreation, where we're recreated when we experience them, which is always what we try and do in the way that we play. We don't just want to let it stay on the screen. We want it to be present in our real lives. And what I'm hopeful for is that our perspectives are not limited to you and I. This is a showcase, and this is a celebration of what people enjoy and experience and really find meaningful in these games. And so to be able to take this and for you to have created such a platform and space that people feel safe and comfortable and have an avenue to express that, and then to elevate it and give it back, are just our functional understanding of how relationships work, how different people approach them in different ways. This is a really fun exercise. If all it is an empathy exercise, let alone a fun chat about games that we all care about, then what a meaningful thing to get to participate in together. So I think I'm just winding down with just a lot of gratitude.
I think so too. That's where I am too. One of the things that we try to do here is create a space that is encouraging and empathetic and kind of some good crosstalk for people with maybe different ideas but similar passions. Thank you all for being a part of that. It's been good. It's been a lot of fun. Even when we forget an essay and live read it, or lose an essay rather. I don't know. It never came through my Gmail, but thank you for being patient with us, Amy. So,
yeah, and there may be others that were submitted that we missed,
and
we'll make sure to bring those in and highlight them in the future. And when we get them, we'll get them on the website and everything. So we certainly do appreciate that.
For sure.
Wade, how do we wrap it up?
Well, Evan, I think that the best way to wrap it up is I am going on spring break. So that's like on my mind right now. I unfortunately have to go momentarily because I just got word that one of my actual students passed a major assessment exam, and is like, hey, I'm throwing an impromptu celebration right now.
Yeah,
so I actually have to go celebrate one of my students right now who just got his acceptance and affirmation after a very grueling test. So
I was worried you were going to say they passed a huge kidney stone.
Oh, no. Hey, thank you everybody for being a part. If you are not part of the Discord, I hope that you'll hop in on the Discord and stuff. Stay tuned for my announcements over on the Discord as far as my live stream schedule. Like I said, I am going to be out for a little bit. And then in 2 weeks, I'm going to be at PAX East. So stay tuned for some of that, where I'll actually see birthday bio boy Roxas. So should be a lot of fun. I know. Good stuff. All right, everybody.